Welcome back, folks. My name is LastKnownMeal, and today we're going to be talking about the GT Trilogy, the Definitive Edition. So this is going to be one of the strangest titles I had ever had a chance to review on this channel, because as of this moment right now, I cannot even access the games I paid money for. So if you're playing on PC, if you purchased the Definitive Edition of the GT Trilogy over Rockstar Game Launcher, which was basically the only way you can purchase this, because Rockstar, or well, Take-Two, removed the original versions from Steam and decided they're not going to take the they're not going to give 20% to Steam, they're basically just going to release it on their launcher and get all of the money to themselves. Now, obviously, when you do something like that, people expect for that launcher to work, but for PC players that didn't happen at all. So what people got is basically that no one was able to launch any game whatsoever, because the servers and basically the entire launcher was down for maintenance. As soon as the game was released, in like 20 hours, they brought it down and no one was able to play anything. And then after that, when they restored the connection to their launcher after 2 days, you know what they said? Well, we uploaded the wrong files of the Definitive Edition Trilogy on our store, therefore we have to remove it, because those files contain the original source code, they contain the files they wanted to remove, the licenses they wanted to remove because they were not actually renewed, and therefore they actually released a wrong version of the game outside onto the store. And therefore, to avoid any lawsuits, because the last time that happened, when Rockstar released something they shouldn't, they got hit with a $20 million lawsuit. Now that it happened and they made a mistake again, they decided to remove the game completely and you cannot play it anymore. But I did have a chance to play through all of those 3 games for 1 day before everything was removed, and these are going to be my thoughts about it. This is going to be my review, because I mean, it's still the same game. It's still Vice City, San Andreas and GTA 3 with a new coat of paint that honestly looks like it was just sprinkled onto it and not carefully placed and painted. Let's go into the review. So first things first, let's talk about the graphics and get them out of the way. So Rockstar, or well, Take-Two, decided to outsource this job to Grove Street Games. Now keep in mind, this company under a different name before released the infamous port of San Andreas, which to this day has not been fixed. So of course Take-Two said, okay, this was a valid mistake, let's try again, let's see what you can do again, but this time we're gonna give you the trilogy. All the 3 games people like, what are you going to do? So Grove Street Games decided to port the games onto Unreal Engine 5. Basically they took the code and they just ported it into Unreal Engine 4, obviously with edits, because you need to make that code function within Unreal Engine 4 and the code has to speak with the engine itself. So they did that. On the graphical standpoint, you have better lights, better textures, well, higher quality textures, and the game, you know, from the original how it looked before, at least when it comes to lights, looks better. There is no denying that. But once you go into the game, once you start going throughout the game, you see that the consistency doesn't really hold up. On one side, you have these neon signs which look really good in this engine, obviously in Unreal 4 engine, when you add the ambient occlusion and everything. But then on the other side, you have a lot of things which people have been showing: character models, models on buildings, text which has insane errors, etc, etc, which are just done in the worst fashion possible. The character models are not even properly enhanced. Even the game itself, right now on PC, runs with a whopping 30 to 50 frames per second, and I experienced that in all 3 games. Now I have benchmarks for GTA 3 and Vice City. I was able to record that before everything went down. You can actually see the frame rate. I'm playing this on 3070 Ti. This is installed on an NVMe drive and it still has issues. The frame rate is very inconsistent, and that can happen once you port something into Unreal Engine 4 and it's not properly polished, because Unreal Engine can be really demanding if you don't polish it correctly, if you don't polish your project correctly. On the other side, you have many graphical They're not even improvements, they're downgrades. Look at the rain in this picture. Look at it. You cannot even play the game, it's impossible because the rain is literally in front of your eyes. You can also see on the shirts they didn't even bother to actually change the texture of their jersey so it actually fits like 9 or 7. They basically removed the 7, you can still see it, and they wrote 9 on it. Mistakes on billboards. Mistakes on the road. How is this okay? It feels cheap. It feels like I took the mods from different websites, that I took a reshade, that I took higher texture quality mod, and I just put them inside. And there you go, I called it a day. And that would be an insult towards mods, because modders have been creating insane mods which enhance the texture quality of everything within the game, of everything, including character models that Take-Two lawyers have been actively pursuing to take down. Actively pursuing and succeeding in this, they're still doing it. And you have those mods which are amazing, and then you compare them to this, to a €60, $60, even more if you're, for example, Australia or somewhere else, even more for a full titles that look like this. Then on one side you have amazing lights, but everything else is just graphically wise, it's not there. It's simply not there. And I just keep wondering, like, to what extent do you actually want to remaster this? To what extent do you actually want to enhance this? Because if you want to maintain the original look, which they were going for, then you have to go and fix the problems of the original look that the original look had, keep everything which was good, but work on everything which wasn't. And it seems to me the only thing they actually pushed were graphics a little bit. Because yeah, it looks better than the originals, there's no denying, but that's only on the surface. When you really look closely, you will see that it's not like that across the board. The quality of one thing, like of the light, negates the quality of character models and everything else. Now let's go for the gameplay mechanics. So they said before the release they're going to put in GTA 5 layout controls. What they basically meant, the controller layout. They didn't actually mean that they're going to change how, you know, aiming is done and how shooting is done in this game. It hasn't changed a lot. Like seriously, I still have problems aiming in this game, the same that I had in the original ones. But in the original ones I got used to it, so it's not really that big of a problem. But in this one I expected more, but that wasn't the case. Shooting is awkward, aiming is awkward, it doesn't make sense. When it comes to other things, when it comes to other gameplay enhancements, there are none in this case. The problem that this game has is that they don't even have a quality FPS limiter on. So what happens is that you'll have these cars going at insane speeds from time to time because there is no FPS limit. And you're going to have these glitches where you're just driving around and suddenly your car starts flying 500 miles an hour into the air. That's also a problem when you don't have a good FPS limiter. Because these games work in a way, and the computers we have today and just the consoles we have today, they're powerful, they're a lot more powerful that needed to run the original titles. Therefore, with the increase of FPS, if you don't have a good limiter, you will have these anomalies and these problems which are present in this definitive remaster enhancement, however you want to call it. They're still there. On the other side, people have found that there are many functions in this game, gameplay-wise, they took from mobile ports. They're not even from the original versions of the game. They're not. They're taken from the mobile version. And basically the bugs and glitches and jank that the original have, they still have here, but also because they ported this, because it wasn't properly polished, you also get additional bugs and glitches which were never present in the original version of this game. And all of that, they charge you €60 or $60 for that. And you're going to say to me, yes, that's $20 per game. These games are not worth $20 because of the remaster. These games would be worth $20 because of like what these games are and how good they originally are. But this definitive edition should not be worth even $20 per game. It should be worth $10 per game. This entire trilogy should have cost $30, and I would be okay with it. But $60 for this, it's not worth it. It's simply not worth it. And you're going to say the games are great. Again, the original games are great. But when it comes to this definitive edition, Grove Street Games did nothing special to make this thing stand out. They did nothing special that one guy, one modder can do, and this person can even do a better job. That's what's the worst about it. You have a billion-dollar company which makes millions from GTA Online every single day, and they couldn't take some of those millions from this huge hoard of money they have. They couldn't take some of those millions and created the GT trilogy that they would be proud of, because those are the games which originally put this company on the map. Also, personally, I didn't have any crashes in this game. I know that people on Xbox and PlayStation also have problems with this game where frame rate is not consistent, so these are not just the problems on PC, this is basically the problem across the board when it comes to every single, console where this game is running. So people have been sending me images, people have been, telling me that they were playing on Xbox and the game was running really poorly. On PlayStation, people told me their game was crashing. Their game was crashing all the time because they just couldn't, some of these things just crashed the game. So, of course, what happened is that you have people just expressing their opinion on Metacritic, so these are the current user scores of this trilogy. They're not looking good across the board. So please tell me, Rockstar, how did you manage to take amazing games like masterpiece games and you managed to make a remaster and it's just this? It shows how lazy this management is today in Rockstar. They don't want to utilize their talent in any way, shape or form to make good things. They want to go with the low amount of money as possible, and at the end of the day, they haven't learned from Grove Street Games from before, because these guys, this is the second time they come out with something broken like this. And keep in mind one thing, the previous version was never fixed. Now let's talk about this launcher in particular. So basically, even to this point in time when I'm recording this video, when this comes out, like the trilogy might be back on the store, but as of right now, you're not able to play the games. A lot of people are asking for refunds. I asked for refund. I wouldn't ask for a refund, honestly, if I was able to play the games. Am I happy with the €60 price I paid? No, absolutely not. But of course I'm a content creator, so this is for my channel basically in my videos. But I would never, ever in my life pay €60 for this game if I wasn't a YouTuber, if I didn't have to make content for this game. But I cannot even do that because I don't have those games right now. And that's why I refunded this game. And that's why I refunded, because I can just go back and play the originals and have a lot of fun with it. Why would I bother myself with something that I paid for and I cannot play over the weekend? Why? I'll just ask for a refund and that's about it. And right now, Rockstar is not saying anything. They have those just random tweets. Yeah, it's down. We're sorry. It's back. We're sorry. That's about it. No official response, no statement, no nothing. Nothing. And the worst thing I was able to notice on Twitter, there are some people who are involved in the creation of this trilogy that are playing ignorant and they just don't care of everything which is happening and they pretend like nothing is happening. And there is this snarky behavior that I noticed with them, with those people. I'm not going to name them. They just said, okay, so this is how it's gonna be done. Okay, if you're gonna be snarky to me, I'll be snarky to you. I'm going to refund your game. If you cannot address the issues, if you think that people are mad because they're mad, no. People are mad because they cannot play the games they paid money for. Also, one of the things which I don't like is the absence of fog in this game. Like, there is no fog. So once you're, for example, you're in a helicopter, you're in a plane, you're going to go to a certain extent and you're going to see the whole map. Now, keep in mind, these maps were not huge in the first place. Like, I know that. But when you add fog, it adds certain level of depth onto the map. So basically, once you're there, you can actually see, okay, with this fog, like, for example, San Fierro is going to be much bigger than it would be without that fog. But in this game, you don't have it. So basically, this looks like a Fortnite map. This looks like a playground. And they didn't even bother to make this thing look legit. It looks like you're just in a small map. And once you fly up, this small map becomes smaller and smaller and just left in an empty space. None of this makes sense because it doesn't have fog. So any logic of depth is basically outside. So I don't know who was making these decisions and why were you making these decisions, and why did you think this would be a good idea for a game this old and a map this small to exclude the fog in particular. Why would you do that? On the other side, when it comes to music, there's a lot of music gone from the originals. Now, one of those things is obviously licensing, and you're going to say, well, why didn't Rockstar pay huge amounts of money to get those licenses back? Well, on one side, they probably didn't want to. They didn't want to bother with that, because why would you pay millions? They don't care. They're just going to tell you, oh, play it on Spotify, man. If you want that music, just play it on Spotify. So they didn't want to. On the second thing, sometimes, music labels, they don't want to give you the license. And simple as that. They don't want. They're going to maybe ask a ludicrous amount of money for it because they can, because they own the rights to it. But at the same time, from my experience, just from the music industry, if you come someone with money, they're going to give you those licenses. So at the same time, I think Rockstar is also to blame because they just didn't want to bother. And that's the thing with this entire remaster. They didn't want to bother. They just didn't. They wanted to go with the lowest thing possible, with the lowest effort possible, and sell for the highest amount of money. That is Rockstar of today. And I cannot believe that people are defending it. Don't defend the management of this company. Talent, developers are one thing, but talent and developers cannot work if the management doesn't let them work. And that's what I'm criticizing, the management. The management of Rockstar, CDPR, Ubisoft, Activision, EA, whatever. You can have the best talent working at you that can create amazing things, but if management, leadership and directions are not properly done, you will never have it, and you will have this company going where it's not supposed to go. And that's what's worst about it. This is a warning. This trilogy is a giant warning to what GTA 6 could be. If this is the quality assurance Rockstar goes for in 2021, keep in mind, before, they were the opposite. They were the people mocking people who were not giving 100% to basically just create something amazing. But now you become the thing you criticize. You become the very thing you criticize. Same as the CEO of Rockstar, Take-Two, criticized Cyberpunk for a failed launch. Basically, he said like this, the game was rushed and it was incomplete. He is right on the rushed and incomplete part. He is right about that. But once you say that, then you have to prove you're different. But this trilogy, this remaster is proving the opposite. You're just going to become the same thing. And this company puts greed and money in front of everything. It puts greed and money in front of their games now. You saw that with Shark Cards. You saw that with just the 1500th edition of GTA, expanded and enhanced, which is coming out, and that is not gonna. If you seriously think that enhancement, expanded and enhanced, is gonna be any good, nah. It's basically going to be a PC port. So now I'm worried. I am extremely worried what's going to be the future of this company with all of these issues and with the game that we have right now. So yeah, this is my review. This is everything I wanted to say. It absolutely sucks. I don't know. I'm just disappointed. I just wanted to play these games, man. I just wanted to play these games and relax and have fun and you stream them, but it's impossible. So I do not recommend this game. If you can get it on sale, get it on a very big sale. But in all honesty, just play the originals, just play them. It's simple as that. If you cannot stand the graphics and you cannot stand the mechanics, then I don't know what to tell you. Then it's your money, buy the Trilogy, see what happens. But 60 bucks for this, not in a million years. Not in a million years. So yeah, this has been GT Trilogy Refunded. And yeah, I'm basically done talking about them. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, click that like and subscribe button. If you didn't enjoy it, tell me why. But at the same time, stop defending corporations. They don't like you. Take-Two goes after modders and goes after the community. Remember that. They don't like you. They'll never give you anything. Stop defending them. This is Kim signing out. Huge thanks to my current Patreon supporters. And I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye bye.